Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Bronwyn and welcome to my Walt Disney World Resort planning guide. Probably the number one thing I get asked about is just like tips and tricks for how to have the best Disney vacation possible. Where are the best places to stay? What's the most like cost-effective way to do things? Just anything and everything that you can't necessarily find on like the Disney World website. I asked over on my Instagram at @BronwynWeissmuller, if you're not already following me, please do, what specifically you wanted to hear about. So I'm gonna go through the questions and we're gonna talk through how to have the best Disney vacation possible. One of the number one things that I got asked about was just kind of how to do Disney on a budget. Now, I'm not gonna lie, even if you're doing Disney on a budget, it is still a very expensive vacation. There are tons of hotels around Disney property that are a little bit cheaper, but personally, I do recommend staying on property. As far as resorts go, there's deluxe resorts, which are gonna be the most expensive. There's moderate resorts, which are still pretty nice, but not as expensive as the deluxe ones, and value, which is the cheapest. Now, personally, I think it's worth it to stay on property, even if it is a little bit more expensive, just because of how much easier it makes everything. All of the Disney resorts have transportation directly to and from the parks. They all have dining locations, they all have merchandise locations. It really makes you feel like you never leave the magic, because you don't. There was one trip that I stayed off property and it was just a very different experience. Like, we went back to our hotel and it was just a hotel. Whereas if you're staying at a Disney resort, your room is Mickey Mouse themed or it's princess themed, that like you still feel like you're within that Disney magic. I think it's worth it for that little extra money to stay on property. Now with tickets, unfortunately, there's really not a way to get cheaper tickets. Annual passes are an option. However, right now they're only selling them to Florida residents. But with an annual pass, depending on which pass you get, for one price, you can go to the parks basically whenever you want. Some of them do have blackout dates, but I would say probably like 300 days at least out of the year you would be able to go to Disney. With annual passes, there are also discounts on merchandise. There's discounts at certain food locations. They offer discounts sometimes on like hotels. So if you're planning on being in the parks for longer than like a week, or you know that you're gonna come to Disney more than once a year, I really think an annual pass is the way to do it. Now, as far as like single day tickets go, there isn't a cheap way to do it. There's not, you know, third-party places that sell cheaper Disney tickets. Like, it's just, this is how much the tickets are. Where the discounts though come in with that is the more days that you add on, the cheaper each day becomes. So let's say a base ticket is $150. It's not $150 every single day. Like, by the time you're on your 5th day, it may only be an extra $50 to add on that day, and then an extra $40 for the 6th day. I'm making up these numbers. I don't actually know how much everything is. But basically, the longer you stay, the cheaper your tickets get. You're still gonna be like, your ticket obviously still costs more every day, but you're not buying a $150 ticket every single day. The other popular like budgeting question was about food. Food in the parks, I'm not gonna lie, it's a necessity and it's expensive. Obviously for me it's a little bit different since I live in Orlando, but when I would come on vacation to Disney when I lived out of state, and even like when my family comes now, typically we only eat 2 meals in the parks. We normally will bring like a box of Pop-Tarts or granola bars or something to kind of like get us started in the day, do an earlier lunch, maybe a snack in the middle of the day, and then dinner. I always say, look at what's on the kids menu. I think that a lot of the kids menus are basically like just as much food as the adult portions, because typically they come with like an entree, 2 sides, and a drink for around, I don't know, $10. Whereas if you're getting an adult meal, yeah, maybe your burger's a little bit bigger. Yeah, you'll get more fries or whatever side that you want. But that's like $17 and it doesn't come with a drink or anything. So I always say double check and look at the kids menus, or see how much food is actually coming with your adult meal and see if it's something that you can split. A lot of the time when Caitlin and I go to the parks, we'll get like one adult meal and split it. And if we think like, oh, we're still gonna need a little bit more food, like we get like another snack or a dessert or something to kind of go along with it. Also, don't pay for bottled water. At just about every quick service location, as long as they have a soda fountain, I guess, like not bottled beverages, like an actual soda fountain, as long as they have one of those, you can get a free cup of water. Obviously, it's nice sometimes to have like a bottle of water that you can carry around. You can stick it in your book bag, but if you want to do that, bring one from home, or you can buy, you know, a reusable bottle in the parks and use it for your whole trip. Now, when it comes to sit-down restaurants, this is where things can get expensive. Reservations for restaurants open 60 days in advance, and there's some places like Cinderella's Royal Table, California Grill, that reservations are gone for in seconds or minutes. If you know that there's somewhere you really want to eat, like let's say it's Cinderella's Royal Table, 60 days in advance at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, reservations will open up for that. I recommend be on the website a couple minutes before, already have like, be on the screen you need to be on so that you can just automatically refresh it. And that's gonna be the easiest way to try and get your reservation. Now, sometimes even when you do this, things disappear before you can grab one. So if it's somewhere you really wanna get, just keep constantly refreshing the app. Anytime you think about it, just like double check and see. Because people are constantly like realizing they need to cancel their trip, or oh, they're gonna go to Animal Kingdom instead of Magic Kingdom that day, so they're gonna re-switch their dining reservation. So things do open up within that 60 days. So honestly, like, there's not many like tricks for it other than just like keep an eye on it. I know that there is a website, I think it's called like Mouse Dining or something. You can like pay for them to tell you when reservations open up. So if it's somewhere that you're like dying to go, that's an option. I've never done that. I don't know much about it. I've never really had a problem getting a reservation at some point. Another thing to note is when your 60-day window opens, if you're staying at a resort, I think you have to be staying at a resort. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's resort guests only. If you're going to Disney for a week, on that first like 60 days until your trip, reservations will open for you for that entire week. Now for some of those hard to get reservations, that really does make a big difference because 60 days, it's 60 days for everybody. But if you're going to Disney for a week, you're getting to make one of your reservations 67 days in advance. So you have like a week advantage over your average person. So if you know that it's somewhere it's gonna be harder to get a reservation, I would suggest try and get it for closer to the end of your trip because you have priority over other people if you're staying on property. What time of year is best for crowds? So these days, especially because I feel like so many people had canceled trips because of the pandemic that are now rebooking things, there's not really an off season at Disney anymore. It's always busy, there's always something going on. There's definitely seasons that are slower. Like if you come between about May and September, it's gonna be busy. It's summertime, that's when most people are on vacation. It's gonna be busy. During any holidays, that's also a very busy time. So like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, that's a lot of people's like present for the holidays. So that's when they choose to come. Disney decorates crazy for those. There's events for those holidays. So it's definitely a busy time of year. It used to be that the off season was like January and February, which I still think is probably the least busy time, but I feel like these days, whenever you go, it's gonna be busy. I think more importantly than like how busy it is how hot it's gonna be, because 10 months out of the year, Orlando is 90 degrees and above. So personally, I would rather, if I'm gonna have to deal with a super crowded park, I would rather do it when it's 75 degrees outside in January than when it's 95 degrees in the middle of July. So keep that in mind too. What things to hit at each park right at open? I went to Disneyland for the first time a couple months ago, and before that trip, I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of videos, and I think the thing that was most beneficial was to kind of make a list of things that I really wanted to do. Small World is my favorite ride. It always has been, and doing it at Disneyland was like the #1 thing that I wanted to do. So the very first thing that we did when we got to Disneyland was go on Small World. It was a 5-minute wait. We were the only people there. And that to me was so worth it because that was the ride I really wanted to do. Would it have been smarter to go to something like Space Mountain where, you know, later in the day it may be a 70-minute wait and right then it was only a 25-minute wait? Yes. But for me personally, I cared more about riding Small World than I did about riding Space Mountain. So I think rather than focusing on like, oh, you have to do all of these big rides first, you need to do it in this order, kind of make a list of like which rides are the most important to you and go from there. Another thing that we did for Disneyland, which I think helped a lot, was we made a list of restaurants and snacks that we wanted to get. I think this helped because it made us like remember what things we really wanted to eat rather than, oh, we're hungry, what's close, and just going to like what was the closest or next available or whatever. There's so many places to eat in Disney. There's so many snacks. Like, you're not gonna eat everything, but I think going through the website where it has all of the menus listed, kind of pick out like, oh, that sounds like something I wanna try, or this sounds really fun. And then when it comes time for lunch, rather than like looking around and seeing like, oh, let's go look at the menu here or here because it's 10 feet away, you can look through your list and figure out like, oh yeah, I really wanted to try this, and go there instead. How long should you plan to spend in each park? I got a lot of questions that are like somewhat variations of this, of like, how many days do you think the trip needs to be? Do I need to get park hoppers? All that kind of stuff. So I would say at the very least, if you really want to have like a full Disney vacation, give yourself a day for each park. There's 4 parks in Disney World and there's a lot to do at all of them, and I feel like having a full day, you most likely will be able to do everything that you want to do and won't feel super rushed. Whereas if you plan that, oh, I'm gonna have a half day at this park and a half day at this park, like you may not be able to get everything done in, you know, 5 to 6 hours. So I would say plan to have at least 1 full day in each park. If you wanna get park hoppers, that's always an option too. I think they'll plan your park hopping around like nighttime activities. If you know that you really wanna see Enchantment and Magic Kingdom, which is the fireworks show, make sure that you plan for one of your evenings to end at Magic Kingdom. I think it's better to end somewhere that's gonna have a nighttime show than to go to somewhere like Animal Kingdom where there's nothing to do at night other than everything that was the same during the day. What are the best spots to take pictures? Obviously, taking pictures is one of my favorite things to do in Disney. Disney does have photographers all around the park with all of the icons, hidden spots in the park with all of the characters, and you can pay, when I worked in PhotoPass, it was like $200. I don't know how much it is now, but you can get digital downloads of every single one of the photos that you take. Now, if you're going for a longer trip and you have your whole family with you, I think it's worth it to do that just so you don't have to worry about remembering to take pictures, or oh, okay, we need to find somebody to take this so everybody can be in it, or like, you know, somebody in your party is never going to be in the photos because they're always the one taking them. So I do think that PhotoPass and Memory Maker is worth the money for those instances. But what I like to do, and I do this now, I have a like saved folder on Instagram, and when I see other people take pictures somewhere that I think that's like a cool location, I'll save it into that folder, so then when I go to Hollywood Studios, I'm like, oh, I want to take pictures somewhere. I don't know where to take them other than like, you know, these huge icons that obviously, yeah, you can take a picture there. I'll go through that like saved thing that I have on Instagram, and I'll be like, oh yeah, there was this little spot in Galaxy's Edge. Let's go try and find that. And I feel like even if you don't know exactly where it was, if you know at least like, okay, it was in Galaxy's Edge, in the process of trying to find that spot, you may find somewhere else that's like equally as fun or as cute. Are hard ticket events worth it? So the hard ticket events that Disney does, primarily the biggest ones are Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Pre-COVID, they did like after hours event and that kind of stuff. I don't really think they do much of that anymore. I think it's just like Halloween and Christmas parties. Now, are they worth it? Personally, I think yes. I think that the parties are a lot of fun. I think it's something different. If you've gone to Disney a lot, it's something, you know, different to do. You get to see and experience things in those parties that you wouldn't get to experience as a normal day guest. However, I think if you're gonna do a party, don't waste your money on a park ticket for that day. Typically the parties are from 7 to midnight, but if you have a ticket for the party, you can get into the park starting at like 4 o'clock. So from 4 to 7, you just get to be in the park as a normal guest, and then when 7 o'clock hits, the park closes for everybody, party starts. Because the event, it goes so late, and because there's such a limited capacity for those events, I personally think it's a waste of money to also buy a park ticket to go to the park from like 7 to 4 when you're probably going to be able to accomplish everything that you would have wanted to just within that party time. I think it's also good because the event is so late. It's nice to kind of have the morning to like sleep in, take it easy, maybe go resort hop a little bit, or go to like lunch at a resort or breakfast. Have that be your chill day so you can really take advantage and stay the whole length of the party and get your money's worth out of it. What are the average wait times like at the different parks? Now, obviously, this changes every single day, every minute of every day. The wait times for rides are changing. What I think can be beneficial is the week or two before your trip, have a little look through the My Disney Experience app, which you should already have downloaded because that is like the #1 crucial part of having a seamless vacation is having the My Disney Experience app. But that has all of the wait times listed on it. So a week or so before your trip, just kind of have a like little look through like, okay, okay, so we're planning on getting to the parks, you know, right around 9 a.m. What are the wait times like then? Or if you know that you're gonna be at this park in the afternoon, what are the wait times like then? So you can kind of plan ahead for, this seems like it's gonna be busier, so why don't we go and see this show and then we'll wait in line for this ride for an hour. Does that make sense? Truly, the My Disney Experience app for your vacation is gonna be your best friend. You can do everything through the app. You can open up the door to your hotel room, you can book dining reservations, you can see wait times, you can see where bathrooms are, you can see where characters are, what times characters are gonna be out. It really is like your #1 source. I even saw on Instagram earlier this week, they added or are adding a section that will remind you where you parked your car so that, you know, at 11 o'clock at night, you're not stumbling through a parking lot trying to find where you parked your car. So if you haven't already, the My Disney Experience app, you need it. It's free, get it. Last but not least, the #1 thing that I got asked about was Lightning Lane and Genie Plus. So back in the day, Disney used to offer Fast Passes, which was a free service that you could book a Fast Pass, which basically just gets you into a shorter line. It used to be free and now it's not. So there's a service now that replaced Fast Pass called Genie Plus. It's very similar, but the biggest difference now is that you have to pay for it. So with Genie Plus, I wanna say it's between like $15 and $20 a day per person. Now I'm gonna be honest, I have not personally used Genie Plus just because I am local. It's not really worth it for me to spend the money. I don't typically do full long park days and I'm not gonna pay $20 to only, you know, use it for 2 rides. However, if y'all wanna see me use it for a video, let me know and I can probably make that happen. Let me know which park you would want to see it at and I'll see what I can do. But I'll tell you about it like what I know or what I can, you know, comprehend. But basically at 7 a.m. your Genie Plus bookings will open for the day. You go on to the My Disney Experience app, which you should already have on your phone, and it will tell you all of the rides that offer Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes, and you can pick which ride you want to get one for. Now, this is where I don't really know how it works, but basically you can pick, okay, I want to do a Peter Pan's Flight, and you can pick a return time that's an hour long. So say it's at 8:15 a.m. you'll have from 8:15 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. to use it. After you use that one, you can then book another one. So you just go back onto the app and see what other ones are available. So say next you want to try and do a Big Thunder Mountain, and there's a Lightning Lane for that at 10:30 a.m. So you can book that, maybe go ride something else in the meantime, and then when that window opens from 10:30 to 11:30, you can go ride Big Thunder, and there goes your day. Now, what's tricky is that there are some rides that aren't included with your standard daily price of Genie Plus, and it's typically the bigger, more like sought after rides. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but like Cosmic Rewind, the new roller coaster in Epcot, is one of them. Rise of the Resistance and Galaxy's Edge is one of them. So those ones on top of your $15 that you already spent, if you wanted to get a Lightning Lane for that, you would also have to buy that one individually. Does that make sense? Now, this is when it gets confusing. You also can just buy, for those ones that are a separate add-on, you can just buy that. So like when we did Star Wars Day, we bought a Lightning Lane for Rise of the Resistance. I think it was like $15 per person, and we got to have Lightning Lane for that ride. We picked what time we wanted to come, and that was that. We didn't have to have the full day package too. You can't do that for all of the rides, it's only for the ones that are an add-on, but yeah. Most of those bigger rides, which I think is like what most people would want Genie Plus and Lightning Lane for, are an extra cost on top of what you already paid, or you can just pay for that individually. Does that make any sense? I feel like I need to just do a video where I experience it so that y'all can kind of see and we can figure it out together. So let me know if that is something that you would like to see. But basically at the end of the day, the point of Genie Plus and Lightning Lane, which are the same thing, they just like have 2 different names for whatever reason. It's like through Genie Plus you are buying Lightning Lanes. But basically it just gets you into a shorter line. You get to bypass the regular standby line. So let's say a line is 45 minutes long. The line that you're in is probably gonna be like 5 to 10 minutes long. Those are the things that like generally I was asked the most about. If you have any other questions, comment down below, shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I will try my best to answer as many of them as I can. If you're watching this video and you see questions that you know the answer to, or you want to give your tips about, reply to whoever you want and share your expertise as well. I know a lot about Disney, but I don't know everything, so other people also can be a great resource. I hope that you all have a very magical time planning your magical vacations. I know that it can be stressful, but just take it one thing at a time. Prioritize the things that you know are like your non-negotiables that you really want to do, and everything else is just icing on the cake. And just remember, whatever happens, happens, and you're gonna have a magical time even if you don't get that dining reservation you really want, or you don't get to ride the ride that you really wanted to. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You're still gonna have a fun and magical time, and that's what's the most important thing. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all again real soon. Bye!